After my latest play session, I was left feeling pretty captivated. I'm approaching 80 hours and it's felt like nothing at all, thanks to these 5 standout features that honestly has made Fire Emblem Engage so fun to play. First up, the animations. The developers have committed substantial resources and time into crafting flashy and impactful battle sequences. Whether it's a regular attack, a dodge, critical hits, or engage attacks, the attention to detail is something that I really appreciate. There's a ton of little flourishes here and there that really adds to each character, and I absolutely love it. Speaking of the combat, that's the next thing I really love about Fire Emblem Engage. The combat is very nuanced with the introduction of the break, smash, and engage mechanics, and especially that engage mechanic. It gives you the option to pull off crazy strategies that no other Fire Emblem games to date can provide. Do you want to do a large AoE attack? We got that. Do you want to move 13 spaces and run through 8 enemies? We got that too. You want your whole party to join you in beating up the boss in one combat phase? We also got that. This may be from the masochist in me, but I love that the enemies will have access to similarly strong tools as well, making you have to work a bit harder to come out on top. The power level for everyone in this game is just up there, which is further augmented by the next topic. Builds and setups. If you're a channel regular, you already know, we do be loving some build crafting around here. In the game itself, you have skills from multiple different sources like emblem rings or your classes or even your personal skills, and your unit also has the ability to inherit up to 2 skills from other emblem rings. And while 2 inheritable skills may seem a bit limiting, I actually really like it. It really forces us to hone in on what's important for the setup and how we can find further synergies with the unit's personal skill or their class skill. Add to that the ability to engrave weapons for different stat combinations, and we have a whole nother layer to play with. A big bonus for me is that class skills are not inheritable. As a fellow build crafter, I love options, but I'm beginning to appreciate limited options a lot. Not only does it force me to work a little bit harder to get that build that I really like, but it also keeps me from excessively grinding in the game because I inherently, in my nature, want to min-max things, even though I don't need to do it. Before I move on to the next topic, I wanted to ask you all, what is something you love about Fire Emblem Engage? Let us know in the comments below. If you're having a good time, support this channel by leaving a like and consider subscribing for more Fire Emblem Engage content. Thanks. While the combat in Fire Emblem Engage is a lot of fun, that's only half the equation, because without good map and encounter designs, we wouldn't be able to use the many crazy tools that were given to us in a fun way. This is where Fire Emblem Engage really shines. Many of the maps that we play through are just plain fun mechanically and conceptually. For example, in one map there are changing tides that can really hinder the movements of non-flying units. This allows us to smartly separate enemies or be separated from allies ourselves if we don't play it smart or don't account for the changing landscapes. And the map designers will continually add things to pressure us, but not too much. There might be a treasure chest with a thief that is going to get away if you don't chase them, or reinforcements or turrets or things like that. But the later we get into the game, the more I feel like the creators give us more room on how to tackle these situations the way we want to, and is not extremely punishing based on how they set up the maps. There are certain chapters too that are just plain awesome due to the resonance between the gameplay and the story, which goes a long way in making you feel like how the main characters are feeling. And while the main narrative of Fire Emblem Engage itself is a little questionable, I will never not appreciate it when games try to communicate their stories through gameplay mechanics. Just a little tangent to further elaborate, a great example of this is the previous Fire Emblem game 3 Houses, where certain characters in that game and in that universe have crests, and crests have a higher social importance in that universe, and you can see it in the gameplay. Because in that game, the crest is your personal skill, and not every character has it. So the characters with an additional skill will obviously do better than a character without. And as a commander of an army, you're choosing these units, right? And you're like, oh, these people, I like them, but they don't have the skills I need to survive. So I'm going to pick the characters with the best combat prowess, which happen to have crests. And by doing so, you, the player, have justified the social hierarchies of people with crests versus people without crests. And you'll probably do this naturally too, which is even better in terms of the gameplay and story resonance. We can see this in Fire Emblem Engage as well, where the emblem rings themselves are kind of hyped up, they're very powerful, and you get to feel it and see it in the game. Characters with an emblem ring engaged with the emblem characters are just way more powerful. It's a super mode for the players, and the game communicates really well that these rings can absolutely turn the tide of battle. Okay, back on topic. Even on Maddening mode, I personally feel that the game has never thrown anything at me that seemed truly unfair, except for giving me too many units and being unable to use them all. How will I make a Lapis build video on this playthrough if I can't even level her up? Intelligent systems, why you do this? Before I get to my last topic, honorable mention, while not every voice line is a hit, there are some phenomenal voice performances here that help to elevate the characters of this game, and it would be a crime not to mention it. The voice work for female Alear, for example, is so good that like I was all set to play male Alear, and I was just like, man, I gotta play through the whole game as female Alear because her voice work is phenomenal and I wanna hear what she's got to say. With that out the way, my last favorite thing about Fire Emblem Engage is the implementation of multiplayer. The two main modes seem heavily inspired by Fire Emblem Heroes, especially the Outrun trials where you can make maps and deploy 5 units for others to fight. And while that mode is fun for kicks and giggles, the standout mode for me is the co-op mode in Relay Trials, where up to 5 players join up together to complete a map. Each player gets a limited amount of turns to deploy their personal units to help further the mission. And after the player's turn limits are up, they have to pass it on to the next player. This is done by sharing relay trial codes with others. People like to use social media like Discord, or weird people like me like to make community posts to share my relay trial codes. I put one up every Friday and a call to action for everyone in my community to share theirs if they're interested in jolly cooperation and that sweet loot. And the best part of it all is that the mode is short, sweet, and a great way to build camaraderie and have a bit of fun, as in the harder maps, things can go disastrously wrong really fast. If the relay trial succeeds, everyone gets a lot of rewards. I have so many personal stat boosters sitting in my convoy that it wouldn't even be a joke to say that all of you viewers who participated in the relay trials are gonna carry me through my late game Maddening run. If you'd like to join us in these relay trials, make sure to subscribe and turn that notification bell on to all so that way when the community post drops every Friday, you'll get a push notification and you won't miss it. With that said, I do hope to add more relay trial maps in the future as part of the DLC packs because it's a lot of fun to play with all of you. If you'd like to turn Pennant into a Raging Demon, I have not 1, not 2, but 3 different setups for you to try. To learn more, click on the video on screen right now. My name is Varsona, and I'll see you next time.